how do ingredients react? If you know how they react, you can fix stuff.
Right.
Right? Have your knife skills, it's going to look good, it's going to taste different. And that's the piece that I think some people just, and I say it respectfully, just don't understand. They
Right.
don't know.
Right.
Right?
I'm probably plenty guilty of that myself, but I can't see spending 50,000, 60,000 on a education, then coming out to be a line cook. There's no way you can pay it back.
Right.
That's the part that
Yeah.
people get in over their heads.
Right.
That's why the community college program at 11 is so much more reasonable. And most likely you can get grants or scholarships or something to bring that down.
Yep, exactly. And we do have that for
And-
the students.
People forget you get meals when you go to school.
That's right. That's one thing. You know, if you're learning the wood technical center, you're not eating 2x4s. That's pretty rough. But if you're working at the culinary academy, you're fed.
Yes, well, and
Every
Yeah.
time you go in the walk-in, when I was younger, man, it's like the chef would come out. The joke was the chef would see you come out of the walk-in, he would be like, Risson. And you'd be like, aha, what were you eating?
yeah. Well, even the dean has to do this, clean this, right? Thank you again, chefs.
Thank you.
Enjoy your day out there. It's rainy and cold.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a beautiful sunny day out there. Seattle.
See you. We'll be in touch.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Monday morning. Where would you like me?
Right here.
You're a boy.
Bye.
You never told them where to send the check. Terrible, terrible, terrible.
Well, we'll have an update.
Where do we send the check to?
Kara?
Save the Seattle Culinary. Do you think that's long enough? Save the Seattle Culinary Academy.org.
Come on, chef.
Okay. All right. Donate. You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye.
Kara,
Yes.
good morning.
Good morning.
How you doing?
Good. I'm a little chilled.
Yeah, no kidding.
Like this.
Uh-oh, Pam's in the kitchen. So we're going to have two segments, right?
Okay.
First one is the Food Innovation Network.
Okay.
And the second one, Spice Bridge, is the way Pam has it.
Okay.
Are
So,
those naturally separatable?
so Food Innovation Network is the program that oversees Spice Bridge, which is an actual space which is a food hall and home to our food business incubator. So,
So I thought it needed the background at the Food Innovation
Work.
Network. And all
okay, and then I
that.
can get into the
Yeah.
chefs and stuff as part of the Spice
Yeah.
Bridge segment. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, good.
Cool.
And then our first segment, by the time I get the intro and introing the hour, we have about 6 minutes.
Okay.
So that's for the Food Innovation Network. And then we're going to talk about all the different little things that have come out of that.
Okay.
And we have more time. That's more like
That's the second.
9+ minutes.
Okay.
Second.
Cool. I've been seeing the 2-minute thing happen.
Yeah. 2 in 1 we try to give so that.
Okay.
Chef, the chili crisp has finally hit Costco. I
No.
was in Costco the other day.
I was gonna say the chili crisp has hitting the market from every angle.
Well, it definitely is, but I hadn't seen anything of
It's
it
at Costco now. Is
Well,
it
it's
in?
not the Logan Ma, not the inexpensive one. The fancy one out of New York. No, not the Katakata. The fancy one out of New York. I can't think of the name of it right now. Jackie bought it right away a year ago or two. Anyway, it was a 2-pack at Costco.
2-pack. And the jar is this big.
No, it's just the smaller jars.
Okay.
2 of the smaller.
So it's in the market. Let's go. That's
That's mainstream. When you get into Costco,
Yeah,
it's mainstream.
it's volume for sure.
The other thing that I was amazed at Costco was the 2 Tabella pizza pack, 2 mozzarella pizzas. all made up
Yeah,
in a. They not only did they beat us, but they're all packaged up two for $10.50.
Oh, yo, yo, yo. How do you do that?
How do you do it?
How do you do that? Yeah, but still,
Doesn't matter.
2 for $10.
$10.50.
That's $5 a piece.
Well, there's that. I mean, I don't know what kind of wheat they're using, or what kind of cheese they're using.
Oh yeah, no kidding. No way.
All right, you ready, set?
Yep.
Sean, you ready?
So, Tom, when we go back in, let's just say.
Okay.
Let's Google that and
You're going to say it.
Okay. You guys ready? Second hour. Let's do it. It's 9:59.
They're very, very hot. So I can describe them.
They're very spicy.
They're very, yeah, they got a kick, yeah. That is actually enough for all. Yeah, sorry, I didn't think of that part.
All right, we're back in the Hot Stove Kitchen. Thanks for hanging during that break. We appreciate it. I'm Chef Tom Douglas.
And I'm Terry Rotiro, the chef in the hat.
And we're coming to you, as always, here from the Hot Stove Society Kitchens in downtown Seattle, the Hotel Andra, 4th in Virginia. Thank you for joining us live or on a podcast.
Yeah, or on YouTube channel.
And Terry, we forgot something on the last segment, so you might want to.
We to finish the conversation with the Seattle Culinary Academy. There is a place you can go to donate, and that is Save the Seattle Culinary Academy. If you feel so inclined as helping a public school in Seattle, public colleges, please do so.
All right, and if you've ever dreamed about opening your own food business, this hour we have 2 segments with the Food Innovation Network, both in the how that came to be and in some of the businesses that they have helped fund. And I think there's a few of the taste right in front of us, if I'm not mistaken. Also, in the second hour, we're going to talk about ahi tuna, how to cook it without messing it up. And we're going to finalize our afternoon or morning with the Food for Thought Tasty Trivia Challenge. And Pamela has said in her notes that it's going to focus on mom this week. And I know I'm having a big Mom and Tom brunch here at the Hot Stove on Sunday morning. Looking forward to that. Followed by a dinner at my house. We had to cancel Easter. So we moved it to I've had a ham sitting in my fridge. It's aging beautifully for Mom's dinner on Sunday night.
Well, I'm glad I'm staying at my house.
It's smoked. It's beautiful. A Hempler ham. Okay, let's get right into this. Well, I've lost it here. Kara Martin. I'm looking for her name in this. There it is, right there in front of me. Hi, Kara.
Hi.
All right, let's jump right into our first segment here. Kara Martin is here from the Food Innovation Network. Let's jump into that and find out, how did that get started? That's so cool. It sounds like an interesting
Innovative.
story. Innovative, yeah,
Yeah.
trying to innovate,
Yeah.
but also trying to help small producers, right?
Yeah. So the Food Innovation Network is a program of the nonprofit Global to Local, and we're based in South King County, so the SeaTac Tequila area, kind of near the airport. The work started around 10 years ago. There was a lot of different kind of community food-based projects going on. Global to Local had brought on an amazing woman, Jambi Gashuru. She's a Kenyan immigrant. She's been in the States for quite a few decades. She had a storefront in Pike Place back in the 80s. And she was hired on to talk to the people in the community to get an understanding of what are the barriers they face to live healthy lives. And not surprisingly, people were like, if I had more money in my pocket, then I could live a healthy life. And then she pushed even further, like, well, what does that look like to you? And over, she kept hearing of folks like, well, if I cook chapati for my community and sell, or I cook up, all these different like dishes that like have a lot of are really key to their cultural communities. But they were doing it out of their apartment kitchens, right? Like they can't
Mhm.
get to that next step. And so that's when we realized, there's something here. Like you're talking to dozens and dozens of people that want to start food businesses or basically are under the table, but they can't move forward. And then we started looking at, there's no commissary kitchens really at all in South King County. It's really hard to just like secure a lease on a space and then navigate the public health
Mhm.
Right.
system. And so that's how we came together, was to look at forming a food business incubator to support immigrant and refugee communities that have a lot of skill and talent and experience, but just have a hard time getting started.
Exactly. And even if you wanted to use your own kitchen, I think there's some laws, like if under a certain dollar amount, you can use your home kitchen.
Yeah. There's a whole layers of laws and like how your family life cannot mix with
Right.
what you're selling. And then
It's
there's
almost impossible. They don't make
It's-
it. They don't make it simple and easy for sure.
And they probably shouldn't. I mean, they're
No.
trying to
Yeah,
keep the public
yeah,
safe.
yeah.
No,
and-
no, of
yeah.
course, of
Yeah.
course.
and we understand all that. But
So
then
how does it differ from, say, the international groups like the Heifer Project, for example, where,
Mm.
my mother sends me a heifer gift every
Yeah,
year
I
for my
used to do that
Christmas
with my
present.
family too,
Yeah,
yep.
so if you give somebody a goat, they can make a business out of, that, or they can get milk for their family. It
Yeah.
sounds similar, but just on a little more direct basis to
So
food.
yeah, so we look. What are their barriers? Their barriers are, one, understanding the systems like the permitting and licensing, getting into a physical space,
Mhm.
and then connecting with customers that are outside of their community. So our program is designed around that business development. So helping them get permitted, insured, getting them banked, like separating your business from your household
Yeah.
income. So getting banked. We work with some really great partner organizations that already have a lot of that curriculum and business coaching. But then we pair up the kind of the more specific food industry services along. So we now have a space that they pay a subsidized rent and are in a commercial kitchen, and getting to get into a walk-in
Right.
versus
I mean, I think that's very, very important to have the brick and mortar area already taken care of. All you have to do is pay a little. It's like having a restaurant or a kitchen, but it's nice to have a place where it's affordable and somebody else is doing the legwork for you.
yeah.
Because you're right, it is definitely a giant. I mean, I came to this country not even speaking English, and I learned a lot of things. I think about it when I look back. I don't think about it on a daily basis, but there's a lot of things you have to learn to be in business for yourself, and it's a constant learning curve. So it's nice if somebody else is actually taking care of that part for you, so you can focus on what you actually want to do, which is the cooking part, or the cooking part.
Yeah. And then and start to like understand if it's the right fit for you before you're like, invest your entire savings into
Right.
trying
I think
to
that's
like,
huge right there. Is this the right fit for
Yeah.
you personally and
Right.
and your family and where you want to go as a human?
Yeah.
Because once you get tied down to a business like that, you have commitments.
yeah.
Yeah. You don't have the commitment of the lease. You don't have the commitment of all those different ingredients. So it's less heavier on the shoulder. And it's after 2 years of being in the restaurant business, you'll know if you want to keep going or not.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what we're seeing. We're seeing some businesses saying, this is not the right fit for
Right.
me. But we had a recent business that realized it's not the right fit, but I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to be a business owner. Like
Right.
she realized that. So we see that as a success. Like she's empowered and she knows what she wants.
Uh-huh.
She doesn't want to make pancetta every day.
Right.
Like that was what she loves cooking, but she doesn't want to do that every day. But she
Well,
knows what she wants to
But it's
do.
so much
moving
better to
forward.
realize that without being involved on a 10-year lease and
Yeah,
having,
right.
$100,000.
Or
Yeah.
like if you look at my business, my Rub with Love business, just the inventory I have to have and the building space, right? My building space is 6,500 square feet. The inventory I have to have in jars, lids, labels, spices,
Yeah, it's crazy.
promotional material, all that kind of stuff is well over $100,000, maybe 200, right? I don't actually know off the top of my head. And another 150 to 200 in made stock so that it's ready to go when somebody orders it, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
it can get to be a headache.
Yep.
And also like a jigsaw puzzle. It's like, okay, piece after piece. So.
Yeah.
All right, when we come back, let's talk about some of your success stories.
Okay.
Including Spice Bridge. When we come back on the Cairo Radio Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
You were with us before, right? Have you been on this show before? No?
Nope.
I thought you were. We had a story like this with 4 ladies that were.
Was it Project Feast?
Oh, yeah, that's what it
Yeah.
was.
We actually used to share a kitchen with them.
And you fired them?
No, well, we
That was a
started
joke.
we started off together, and like our businesses, if we share a kitchen, then the businesses couldn't be in it when they needed it,
Ah.
and we could only have one business in at a time because of public health regulations. So Spicebridge has a commissary kitchen set up where we can have 4 or 5 businesses in at once, and so then they're not like constricted on. We had businesses they couldn't go to the next step because they could only be there in the evenings.
So when you have many businesses in one commissary kitchen, do you have to break down the walk-in into 5 different businesses?
Yeah, the walk, it's a very complex
Yeah, no,
system.
because I'm thinking of that. I'm thinking,
yeah, the
where
metro
is it?
shelves are like all divided and you get your vertical
that's what I would
section.
think.
Yeah,
Same with the freezer, same with everything that you touch.
yeah.
Except for all the dry good and all that stuff that can be commissary.
And then they
style.
have and then they have lockers.
Right.
So I mean there's never enough storage.
No.
Like that's the thing that we
Well, you're making it a little bit more complicated than a normal kitchen. On top of it,
We
by
are.
having more people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Uh-huh.
All right, Tom.
All right, ready, set? It's kind of fun. Let's just keep them in. And now we're back in the Hot Stove Society kitchen. Chef Jerry leading the charge when it comes to audience participation. Some people are ignoring you today, Chef. Normally they're
Yeah, no,
just
I know.
right on
They're
top of
talking.
you.
It's okay. They're having a good time. That's what we want.
We're going to continue our conversation with Kara Martin from the Food Innovation Network. Kara, we found out about how you got started in that particular situation, and now tell us about the food hall, the global food hall called Spice Bridge.
Yeah, Spice Bridge is located in Tequila, so about 15 minutes south of downtown Seattle, close to the airport. We're open 6 days a week, so closed on Mondays. And you come in, and we're a small food hall. There's up to 4 kiosks set up, and it's the businesses that are in our food business incubator. So you can buy food from them and really try food from all around the world. And we have a rotating schedule, so every day is a little bit different.
Uh-huh.
So it's a lot of fun. It's
So is
fun.
it in like a strip mall? Do you just drive up? Is it like a?
yeah.
I'm not sure what it is, honestly.
Yeah, we're in the bottom of we're on the ground floor of a apartment building.
Uh-huh.
It's a new area, new development called Tequila Village. So there's the Tequila Library there, and some housing and other commercial businesses coming into the area. So
And if I were to drive there for lunch this Friday afternoon,
ooh.
what am I having to eat? And and how does it relate to
yes.
the Food Innovation Network?
So this is the starting ground for those businesses
Uh-huh.
where we have a commissary kitchen so we can have up to 4 to 5 businesses that are cooking in the kitchen. And then that's the back of the house, and then the front of the house is set up kind of like a food court or food hall. You walk up to a kiosk counter and you would purchase food directly from that business. So
So it's
None
like
of-
their own little brick and mortar,
it is.
but you could also buy it to go. Like you-
Yeah,
okay.
and frankly, we opened it in September 2020. So
Nice timing.
yeah,
That was good.
So it was a great pivot. And so it's been mostly takeout. But we now have some indoor dining. We have ample outdoor dining as well, but we also have indoor. We've been slowly bringing in some of the indoor dining. So and we want to see more of that. And it's fun to see families come in, and usually people want to go to more than one kiosk. When you purchase from them, you're purchasing from them and supporting that business. None of those sales go through our program.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So it's really them building up their business. They're all licensed and insured. They all hold their own public health permits. So like if you were to go today, so Fridays we have Jazzy's. She does Afghan food. So I would recommend the ashok or the mantu dumplings. They're so delicious, especially on a cold day with a little bit of lentils on top and some fresh mint. We also have terry with terry Cambodian foods. I mean, everything is delicious there. We just had, she does these like lemongrass meatballs and also a stuffed vermicelli chicken that also includes lemongrass and ginger and garlic. Super delicious. We have some of the chili oil here today from her. And then it's Friday. This is like every day.
That's all right. You don't have to get
so
more.
like that gives an
sounds-
example. It's like a range of, and they're all
And-
cooking from scratch.
What time are they open till?
So we're open 11 to 8
PM.
p.m. Yep.
Oh, so you do dinner
lunch
too.
and dinner. So you can go Tuesday through Saturday, and then Sunday our hours are 10 to 5.
Wow.
So what did we have? What did you bring for us here, Terry? You've got a little plate of food.
So I brought a lot
Terry
of.
is a bit of a spice weenie. He loves chili crisp, but outside of that,
yeah. They are hot, except for the chili. I don't find that heat hot. Some people do. So that is like a signature, like that's like the Cambodian like five signature where with the ginger, the garlic. So good.
so what's the progression here? You brought these sauces. I'm
Mhm.
assuming they're from these stands that you have down
Yeah,
at Spice
yeah.
Bridge, but is there a progression for them to maybe get these sauces on the shelf in a grocery store?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Exactly. And that's like what this space does, where you can test out. You want to be a food business. What does that mean?
Right.
Does it mean not everybody wants to be a restaurant? We have some businesses that are more interested in going the packaged food route and doing the sauces.
Uh-huh.
But the kiosk is allowing them to kind of test
Try
some
it
of this
out.
out. We have some businesses in our program that are not, they don't have a kiosk and they're doing just catering and farmers markets. And so they're all kind of testing different things out. So quite a few of our businesses have their signature sauces that you can't find anywhere on shelves anywhere, right? You can't
Uh-huh.
find like a Senegambian sauce.
So I would think it would be really cool if you're, for example, Cambodian and you're fairly new here and you can find this thing that, this is common to
It
every
feels like home for you. Yeah.
every foreigner. And
Yeah.
you go over there and I mean, this tastes really good. They're very spicy for sure, but they taste real, like somebody, that is from that country. So I think it would be really cool for local.
It is, yeah. It's like a great way to like get to understand another culture,
Right.
But also that Terry has talked about. She's done senior meals for her community, and she's made dishes where at the end, the seniors like, I haven't had this for 30 plus years since I was forced to leave the country,
Uh-huh.
and to like have that taste of home that they really can't go back to be able to like have that is like it's just really
I mean, that's the
beautiful.
ultimate. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
I'm not very hot on the spice, but the Cambodian.
You're not hot on it.
chili-
You don't like it.
Uh-huh.
Is what-
No, I love
So
the
what do you
flavor
mean?
of this. This is really, really delicious.
She pastes it with a mortar and pestle.
Oh wow! It
Yeah.
looks like it's been sliced. It's really delicious. I like it. It's not too hot. It's got a little kick, but if you eat that with food, you're not
Yeah.
eating that just by itself.
Yeah. And she does a lot of things to like comp with like a coconut cream and other
Yeah.
so it like all
Balances
complements-
out.
Yeah.
So you've been open for 2 years now. Has anyone kind of graduated
Yeah.
into their own space?
Yeah. So C Tango is an Argentinian bakery now in Lake City on Lake City Way.
Uh-huh.
They're doing great. It's a couple. It's been their dream for decades to have their own bakery, and now they have one. So they do pastries and they do these amazing empanadas. So I highly recommend going there. They're on Lake City Way, that's at Spice Bridge. The 8 months they were there, they were able to demonstrate to a landlord that their business model and what they could do, and that's how they were able to actually sign a lease.
Oh, that is a great story.
Yeah. We also have Nijabuka, who does Nigerian foods, and she now has packaged food line in all the PCC markets. So you can get her sauces, and she also has some frozen products as well. So, so the businesses, like, they have ideas of where they want to go. We're not doing a cookie cutter program.
Right.
It's working with them to figure out what's the right fit for you.
And when they come back to you, I mean, I'm sure that you have kept up communication.
Yeah, yeah.
What are they saying? This helped me the most.
Well, there's things like Monica with Citiango is like, oh, all that bookkeeping and financial stuff. Like,
yeah,
well, that's for real.
yeah, that is for real.
So it's things like that, or like some of the public health stuff, like understanding that, because it's really challenging to, especially if you come from somewhere where they don't have those systems in place.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing that often passionate entrepreneurs don't understand is there's two parts to the business. There is your job, the passion, the doing, the cooking, and all that, and there's the business part.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you have to know some of both in order to be successful and to stay alive.
Yeah.
And you cannot run a business without knowing some of the business, and to comply. So
I think one of the things I would come back with is if I was doing this for the first time, it's like, it's intense.
Yeah.
It's, you're working when everyone else is having dinner
right
at your place, hopefully.
Yeah.
I mean, you're working nights, you're working weekends, and when you own a business, it never goes away.
Mhm.
You always are thinking about it. And so if I were to come back to you and say, I would just appreciated the fact that I knew that going into this business, right? I felt comfortable signing a 5-year lease after having done this for 8 months at Spice Bridge or whatever. So congratulations to you,
Thank
Food
you.
Innovation Network, and
Yeah.
all the work that you're doing. It's great. We appreciate it.
go visit.
Makes our community richer.
So we need to go get some food.
Go get some food at
Where-
Spice
where?
Bridge. In
Spice
Tequila.
Bridge,
So on
Tequila.
Tequila International Boulevard, right next to the Tequila Library.
All right,
Here
cool.
you go.
That's Kara Martin. When you come back, I'm assuming you're going to come back and listen to the rest of our show.
Of
We're going
course.
to talk about ahi tuna.
Yes.
Why not, huh?
I know.
Delicious. On Cairo Radio, it's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM. Nice job.
Thank you,
Thank
Kara.
you.
Very nice
Yeah.
job.
Anytime.
It was fun.
You made me want to start driving right away. Yeah, that's down there. That was fantastic.
It's okay. It's not that crazy. I mean, it's
The heat here is
yeah, it's good heat. It's good heat. This is my favorite. This is really.
I know.
Oh, this is not what's in here.
Airport.
South Center. Huh? Where Tequila is? Yeah, if you go to South Center, you go take a right towards the airport, you can take a left towards the mall's on your right, Tequila's on your left, before you get to Renton.
Well, you see, I just went in the juice. I didn't go for the seeds because that's where the heat is at. This is really cool what you're doing. I go to that area, or close to it, at the end of MLK there, or in the warehouse in the commissary kitchen, because I have a consulting on a place at the airport, and that's where the commissary kitchen is. So I'll be looking for this. I will try.
Field trip.
Yeah. Wait, right here.
That's getting to be such a food destination.
Yeah, my daughter, I lived up in Canada for 25 years, but my daughter bought a house in White Sands,
Year ago.
and I have plenty of kind of here.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not hard to get that reservation.
I know.
Terry loved it there
Tomo.
too.
Yeah. Terry's already been.
To where?
Tomo.
Oh yeah, it's innovative for sure, and it was delicious. My food was really good.
I know it.
About the what?
Arson.
Oh, like
Is it the building
The
next
same
to him or
building.
just in the same?
yeah.
Whoa.
Well, if you know White Center, if you know White Center from 30, 40 years ago, it's definitely a different feast over there. I mean, it's a changing place for sure.
Right, ready? It's time for some tuna here at the hot stove on Cairo.
Gone fishing.
Going fishing. We've gone fishing. You ever caught a ahi tuna?
No, but by seeing videos of people who do, and it looks like it would be a very high adrenaline show.
Like the world wrestling.
I mean, it's like
Yeah.
those beasts are, first of all, they're big, they're very, very muscular and powerful. So I would guess that to have something like this at the end of your line would be very exhilarating.
They're like bullets in the sea.
The
That's
biggest
way they're
fish
kind
I've
of
ever
shaped.
caught in my life was a 19-pounder salmon. And that was super exhilarating. So I can only imagine something that flies through the air at the end of the line. That would be crazy.
All right, we're back in the kitchen. It's Tom Douglas and Chef Thierry
Thierry
Rotero,
Rotero.
and we're going to talk about some ahi tuna. Now, I do suggest before we even start this conversation, in many areas it is endangered, so you have to be careful where you get it, where it
Correct.
comes from. When you see it in the market, try to figure it out, or go to Monterey Bay Aquarium site to see if it's sustainably caught or farmed or whatever it is that they are saying about right now. There's lots of different kinds of tuna, right? There's bluefin, yellowfin. Yellowfin's what they consider the ahi,
Correct.
big eye tuna, all sorts of different kinds of tunas in the marketplace. The only tuna I've really caught is more like a skipjack
Oh, yeah.
over in Hawaii. Delicious albacore.
Was it a big fight?
No.
It wasn't?
It was well. I was on the boat that caught it. I'll say.
Oh, okay.
They,
Oh, I see. Uh-huh.
I think
It's one
if
of
I'm
those
not,
fisherman story.
if I'm not
I
mistaken,
caught this 200-pound fish.
No. It's only an 8-pound, 6-pound fish, skipjack. I think Loretta was on the pole at that time. They rotated between whoever's on the
Right,
boat.
right.
Yeah. So, who knows? I did catch a mahi. So,
Wow.
Yeah. Why not, huh?
It's a beast.
Let's talk about ahi tuna,
Yes.
shall we? When you see it in the grocery store or at the fish market, what are you going to do? How are you going to know that fish that's $40, $50 a pound, that it's worth buying? What are you going to look for?
Well, first of all, I'm going to look if there is anything underneath the fish, as in any liquid, because that will tell me two things. One, either it's losing its life and it's losing some of its cells, it's broken down.
Mhm.
And then I will be more careful about, first of all, I'm going to decide before I go, not before I go, after I see the fish, whether I'm going to cook it or have it into raw.
Uh-huh.
I love a good raw ahi tuna. Who doesn't? If it's done, if it's a beautiful fresh fish, and you get it like I got it when I was in Hawaii, in Honolulu, outside of Honolulu towards the airport, there's a fish place where you can go. The fish is daily caught, and you get this tuna that is absolutely magical. It's beautiful, it's fresh. You can tell it's alive. It has no sweating on it. Absolutely magical, beautiful fish. Now you eat that raw, it's totally safe, and you know it. Now, eating raw fish, especially tuna, when you're in Seattle, it has to come from somewhere. It's usually not right here at the door, so you have to make sure that it's not too old. Go to trust places. I would go personally, as you probably would. I would go to Mutual Fish, that's Harry, or just for some recommendation on a good piece of ahi tuna. And a lot of the ahi tuna in the market is frozen. Comes in frozen because they catch it for the same reason I just said. They catch it. First thing they do is they freeze it because they want to make sure that it stays fresh.
Yeah, if you go to the Tsukiji market in Tokyo, like
Right.
almost all the tuna there,
the bullets
is
are
all
frozen.
big
Yeah.
frozen bullets of tuna. Yeah.
And I've been to the one in Hawaii, and it was the same thing. It was frozen bullets of tuna. So there's nothing wrong with being frozen, but there is something wrong with being old. So
I guess that leaves both of us out of the mix then. Okay, so now we've got our tuna. Are you going to make a poke bowl out of it if it's perfect?
if it's perfect, I'm just going to make it very simple. Probably one of my favorite things is to do toasted sesame seed, toasted sesame oil, a dash of yuzu, and that's it. Just toss it really nicely. I don't want to put too much stuff in it because I don't want to cover the fish, but I also don't want to, I don't want to just raw slice tuna.
Let's face it, a lot of what ahi is not about the flavor of the fish when it's raw like that. It's about the texture, right? It's kinda-
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. It's like you have this gorgeous texture of a piece of meat that just melts in your mouth, but but it's not mushy. It still has a little give to it, and that's what's
All right,
great in
now
ahi
let's
tuna.
do it for Pamela because I think you're coming around to sushi, but you
I
did,
am.
for years you were never a raw fish person. Let's cook some ahi for her.
Okay.
You hate to cook it too much.
Well, that kind of meat it's just like beef tenderloin. You're not gonna eat a beef tenderloin well down. I mean, it's kind of like don't bother eat beef tenderloin if you're gonna eat it well down. Eat something
Or
else.
have albacore if you're gonna.
Yeah.
Yeah, why spend the money?
Don't take the. It's a piece of meat that is meant to be not cooked all the way. I mean, that's just the reality of it. And I would say a good searing on it is very important.
How do you do that?
So good searing is make sure the pan is hot. Any good searing for me, it starts with you put the pan on the fire, you turn on the fire, and you walk away. Don't worry about this pan. Let it get hot. Now, don't use a cheap Teflon pan because that's going to break down the pan, and that's not a good idea. You need to have a heavy bottom pan. Cast iron is a good pan, or heavy stainless steel bottom pan. Make sure that pan gets hot. So that's about the time it takes you to make a cocktail, for example. You go make yourself
Oh,
a cocktail.
good word of
when you come back,
advice.
the pan is hot. Maybe not quite that hot, but you know what I'm saying.
All
Very
right. So
hot.
what are we putting on our fish? Olive oil, vegetable oil.
Yes, on the fish, I put vegetable oil. I try not to put olive oil because it's going to be seared, and salt, and that's it. That's all I do on the fish. I don't put anything else, mainly because any spice you're going to add to that, it's going to burn because you're trying to sear the fish. The searing is supposed to be creating a beautiful crust on the outside, keeping the inside raw. However, I'm also a big fan of making sure that there's a little heat that goes through the fish. So the middle of the fish is not bone cold. Most of the time, that fish is going to come right out of the fridge. You're not going to leave it on the counter for 3 hours going, oh, I'm going to make him room.
No, you don't
Not
want
a
to do that.
recommendation. So, the most is going to be outside is 15 minutes. The inside of that steak is not going to be very hot. So when you're
It's
searing,
still raw. I mean, let's be
yeah,
clear.
it is very raw
People
and it's
say
very
that they
cold.
don't love raw tuna and then they want a seared rare tuna steak. Well, it's raw in the middle.
Correct.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Rare is raw in the middle.
Yeah.
It's not, there is no chance about that. However, when you're searing your tuna, you sear it really well on very high heat and very fast. If you turn off the heat and cover your pan for about 1 minute, it will allow the fish to keep cooking, number one. But more importantly, the heat is staying inside and it's acting like an oven now. And it will warm up the inside slightly of your meat.
Now, what are we talking about? A half-inch thick or an inch thick?
We're talking
what are you
about-
thinking? About an inch thick.
1 inch thick.
Okay.
You don't really want, if you can, don't make your tuna too thin because you're trying to get it rare on the outside. Crispy on the outside. You still want the flavor of the raw inside. This is a gorgeous flavor of a mix of crispy on the outside, hot, and then chill on the inside, and raw. So you want to have that combination. I think that's what makes ahi tuna so beautiful when it's seared properly. I mean, I've had it in many different places, I'm sure like you do. And some places it doesn't taste as good, but when it's done perfectly, it's absolutely gorgeous.
Mhm.
And you know it when you have it good.
Right. And so now you've got it seared. Let's say you have a little chunk that's the size of a baseball's too big, half a baseball.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we've got it seared.
Uh-huh.
So then we want to pull it off. And typically I like to slice it before I send it to the table because
Absolutely.
sometimes it has a little sinew left
Right.
in the belly side.
Absolutely. I would slice it right after it comes out of the pan, leave it for 1 minute, and then slice it in an angle. Usually it's never straight down, it's always in an angle. And tuna will show you all the veins of the meat. They will show you the way the meat runs. You always want to cut through that. You don't want to cut with that, you want to cut through that. So if the lines are going north-south, you want to cut east-west. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Always like any piece of meat.
Yeah, across the grain.
It's a much better piece of meat to eat in the end. It makes the meat much more tender and easier and palatable. And I always like to have a little combination sauce, a little dipping sauce kind of idea on the side, not on top of the tuna, but on the side. And it could go from a chermoula idea, which is basically
Let's just say you're making a Niçoise salad. Maybe you go with chermoula.
correct. Or if you're making,
Asian salad.
yeah, So I would do like a toasted sesame, soy,
Soy, maybe
know,
a little
and little
Chinese
mustard,
mustard, yeah,
little
or
mustard,
wasabi.
Put that on the side, and then some pickled ginger on the side as well, because that's always a 3 different great combination. But that's how I would eat my tuna.
Sounds so delicious, Pamela.
I feel
Are you
empowered now.
inspired?
Yes. I just need to be brave enough to keep the searing time short on each side. I think that's,
You want to
I mean,
tell
the
everyone?
ticket.
You want to plug your favorite fish market?
yes, please. Fresh Fish in Ballard on 80th and 24th, but Margaret retired and I'm
Did
heartbroken.
she? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I've been going to. Well, I've always gone to Mutual when I'm in that part of town, but I've been going to the Wild Salmon Fish Market at Fisherman's Terminal. That's a fun little trip because you get to eat at one of the restaurants there,
Right.
walk the docks with all the boats.
It is a great store.
Yeah,
Great store.
lovely. And they sell my spice rubs.
Yes.
Good combination.
Well,
All
in-
right,
In that case,
Pamela, do you want to tell us what's coming up next?
Special edition of Rub with Love Tasty Trivia
Right on.
dedicated to moms.
Dedicated
All
to
right.
moms. On Cairo, it's the Hot Stove Show, 97.3 FM.
And we have a special mom in house, Annie Elmore, also graduate of Seattle Culinary Academy. She is their shining star. Success
She reminds me a
story.
lot of my mother. It's the
Yes.
it's the
Yes.
Edna Mode in you, evil genius.
It's a very good thing to be like his mom. She's counting donuts.
She's making potatoes, smashed potatoes. Sure.
who's playing?
Annie.
She will?
Yeah.
Take your time, Annie. We got all day.
Oh!
Why
She's
is
got
that, why is
money
that
to
funny?
make.
She's on top of it. Look at that. I'm not fighting with her. She's going to win.
Careful, I will can you. Tiny fish.
Aren't those cute?
Tiny.
Tiny but mighty.
Don't hurt your camera out there. Annie, turn around and look into that camera so people know who's. No, the one up here. Turn around. Come up here. Now look into that camera. Yeah.
Oh, Sean's
Oh, she's
gonna
on
do
this
it.
camera. Oh,
She's
okay.
gonna put it on.
Yeah, that's why Sean did that. Oh!
Now
look at
people
her.
know why I call you Edna Mode.
Look on the screen.
Never seen her smile before. This is
She smiles always. Oh, okay.
Oh,
I'm sorry. I didn't know that was
I'm
special.
telling you, she's just
we
mean to me.
said we were going to be nice to him because we missed him for 10 days when he was off. Remember? Remember, we said we were going to be nice to him.
I don't remember that part of the meeting. All right.
We're back. It's time for Rub with Love Tasty Trivia. Rub with Love is a family of spice blends, sauces, and mustards that belong in your pantry, made right there at my warehouse in Ballard. Most of it, the rubs are. These condiments will help you create distinctive flavor profiles in any dish. Have fun mixing and matching them on your veggies and proteins. You can find Rub with Love locally at Mulbach's when you're buying a petunia for your mother, maybe. Fresh Fish in Crown Hill, Pam's favorite, and our friends at the Midwest can find Rub with Love at Heinen's stores. Of course, they're available at most grocery stores and
Petunia?
online.
Really?
You don't like petunias?
Peonies. Peonies is
peonies.
what I would buy.
Yeah,
Either way.
step up to the peony.
Yeah.
Either way,
It's mom.
After all.
my mom likes petunias. Gert, you know my mother's middle name is Gert. If she's watching right now, she'll kill me for saying that. But Gertrude is my mother's middle name. So my dad used to always call her Gert. She hated it.
Yeah, that's not a
Yeah.
very.
No.
Pam, do you want to tell us how to play the game and who's going to win today and what our prize is?
The 5 contestants are each going to get 5 questions related to mothers. But since you're all part of the company, the prize of the spicy Tokyo rub is going to go to our audience members.
Whoa!
Yay.
That's good on tuna.
That's why we're doing it. We're keeping with the tuna theme. And we're starting with Terry Rotaro.
I'm ready.
I know, born
Mom.
ready. In most of the world's languages, the word for mother begins with the letter M.
Correct.
Crazy. But now we want you to name a lettuce that begins with the letter M.
Oh, there's a little circular route there somewhere.
A lettuce.
a delicious little green leafy thing.
It reminds me of paper.
Reminds me of paper. Wait, hold on.
From your garden, something green and leafy.
Mosh. Paper
Oh,
mache.
Mosh.
Mosh.
Mosh would be
Oh,
good.
reminds me of paper. I was confused by that.
Did you get it?
Thank you.
Did you get my clue?
Should have had the lifeline back here.
Mosh.
Mosh.
Of course, I should know this.
Manoa, mesclun, miner's lettuce, Mizuna, mustard green.
So there was only one. Okay.
Were any of the possibilities. Forgot to say, these questions were given to us by our beloved Becky Guzak.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she submitted them to help me.
Becky, I don't know if I would say that mustard is a lettuce.
You can argue with her
Yeah, yeah.
Sunday.
Okay.
Number 2. In what South American country is Mother's Day celebrated with a whole week of dinner, lunches, and parties?
A whole week?
A week, and
For-
moms deserve it.
And that's in South America?
Yeah.
I'm going to say
Starts with a P.
Peru.
Yay!
How's that? No, you didn't have to say that. I was trying to think of Lima. I actually have been to Peru. Thank you.
Oh, that's right.
That's right.
Did you go to any of the Mother's Day parties?
It was not during that time, but
Okay.
I think I've heard
Is that
of
where
that.
the Inspector Peru lives?
But I'm not sure that it's only in Peru. I think
Number 3. What
Are you
is
trying to
a
keep up the
mother
theme?
of vinegar?
it's the starter to the vinegar, which is basically a bacteria, like a jello bacteria that you have formed. Then you put that with your wine.
What
and it
flavor
turns
Jello
that-
do you use for
turns
that?
turns that into a vinegar.
Yes, that was a beautiful answer. A cluster of bacteria that converts alcohol to vinegar.
that you find in strawberry Jello.
It
Nice
looks
job.
like jello when you look at it.
True or false? Women pregnant with boys get nauseous more easily.
I think that's wrong.
Annie would know.
It's definitely not true.
No, I would say not true either.
It's true.
No, I think that's wrong.
Pregnant women
Well, how do you
carrying
know that?
pregnant women carrying
Yes.
boys are measurably more sensitive to disgust. They have a higher disgust sensitivity compared to mothers carrying daughters. In the first
Disgust,
trimester.
yes, but I wouldn't say nausea.
Yeah, you said nausea. That's different.
And finally, what dish did your mom make you that was your comfort food?
Pot-au-feu.
Oh, would you tell the audience quickly what that is?
Pot-au-feu is a boiled neck or tail of the beef. It's boiled with vegetable, potato, carrots, onion, cabbage, turnips, and it's served on a platter with the meat on one side, the vegetable on the other side, garnished with sea salt, like flake salt, cornichon, and Dijon mustard. And the broth is turned into a boiling. Before that, boil the broth, put in some vermicelli pasta in there, make that into a soup, and that's your
I
first
feel
course.
comforted.
Wow. Thank you, Mom.
On to
Yeah.
Annie Elmore, please.
Right.
What do moms
Wait, is
want?
that a point?
Annie is the chef here at the hot stove, by the way.
You,
Just-
yeah, you got a point for that.
Okay. Oh, that was easy.
Can that be my five
So
five
three-
questions?
I need 3 out of 5.
Oh,
That's what
3
you
is the
got?
number to beat.
Wow.
what do moms want most for Mother's Day?
Time to herself.
Yeah.
Yes.
we're giving that to you. But what Becky said, 47% of moms say having a meal with their families is a gift they want most for Mother's Day, but there's 53% of the rest of us.
I think those moms are lying.
Mother's Ruin is the other name for which liquor? The choices would be rum, whiskey, or gin.
I know what it is for you.
Rum?
Gin.
Darn, that was
Mother's
my
ruin.
second choice.
Okay.
Definitely not whiskey.
I thought
Tom.
whiskey made you crazy.
It does. That's why I'm trying to avoid that answer.
Which of the following cakes is often made to celebrate Mother's Day or Mothering Sunday, as is called in the United Kingdom? A simul cake, a sponge cake, or a tipsy cake?
Tipsy cake?
It would be the simul cake, a type of dried fruit cake that contains layers and topping of marzipan.
Mm.
True or false?
Now remember, this is in England.
Hey, they drink there.
Brunch is the most popular dining option for Mother's Day. True or false?
I'm sorry, repeat that again.
Brunch is the most
Oh.
popular dining option for Mother's Day. True or false?
Yes, true.
Absolutely.
False. It's dinner.
No.
What?
Diners-
You don't want to start drinking out
Only
at the beginning of the day?
24% order brunch.
And he's too drunk by dinner.
Exactly.
Number 5. What dish did your mom make for you that was your comfort food?
Banana fritters.
Whoa.
Not the American kind though, but it's like tempura bananas,
Yes.
What kind of
Yeah.
sauce?
coconut milk, and toasted peanut.
And did you eat them hot then?
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Terry, are you two tied?
Two? No,
Oh.
she's only at 2.
Okay.
Annie, what's going on here?
She had a mimosa before she came in.
Mr. Douglas, from the nursery rhyme Old Mother Hubbard, what did she go to the cupboard for?
The
Old
rum.
Mother Hubbard went to the cupboard.
For cheese and whey.
No, to get the cheese board.
to get her poor dog a bone.
Oh, nice job.
To get a what?
To get her poor dog a bone.
Oh, got it.
Number 2, who is the mother of invention?
Frank Zappa.
Necessity. The author of this proverb is unknown.
What was the name of Frank Zappa's band? Huh? The Mothers of Invention. Yeah, exactly.
Maybe he was on to something. Bar credit.
But still wrong.
Still wrong.
Oh.
Number 3, how much milk do... That was clever.
How much what?
How much milk do blue whale moms produce a day?
1,000 pounds.
50 gallons of milk per day. That is a fat content between 35 and 50%.
Well,
Jeez.
each gallon weighs
amazing.
20 pounds. I'm just saying.
True or false?
Isn't that 1,000 pounds?
Wow.
Moms may be more vulnerable to tooth decay.
Absolutely.
Yes, it
Every
is.
mom I've seen is toothless.
Wow. Do you know
Uh,
why?
I don't know why.
Because when you're pregnant, your teeth are more sensitive and easier to get cavity.
Really?
Mhm.
I did not know.
It messes up your calcium absorption.
Yeah, I think it's your calcium balance
Yeah.
that just becomes.
Number 5, what dish did your mom make for you that was your comfort food?
Pot roast, just like Terry.
Mm.
Mine was, she always made gravy, not the broth.
So she roasted.
Roasted it all
Chuck
down
roast,
into
just
gravy.
roasted into a pot roast.
And the winner today is Terry Redrose.
Oh.
Shut
When was the
it,
last
thank
time you win,
I
Chef?
won with the 3. I'm like, you guys are
We
pretty
are
lame
really
here.
bad. We are really bad.
Oh wow.
Today, our prize that each of the audience members gets a Rub with Love Tokyo rub, which is like a Tokarashi rub. If you're listening to us on Cairo Radio, it's the Hot Stove Society show. The show is produced by Pamela Hinckley, Sean McFadden, and our editor is Sean Don't Call Me Del Torre. Remember, if you miss any episode of our Hot Stove Society show on Cairo, you can listen via podcast. Just subscribe with your favorite podcast app.
Thanks for listening and happy Mom's Day.
Absolutely. Don't forget, it's also National Coconut Cream Pie Day.
Month.
Hi, I'm Tom Douglas.
And I'm Terry Roturo, the chef in the hat.
Hi, I'm Tom Douglas.
And I'm Terry Roturo, the chef in the hat.
This afternoon on the Hot Stove Society radio show, we talk about Spice Bridge, the food incubator kitchen of the Food Innovation Network, achieving the perfect sear on fresh ahi, peak of the season favas, and let's save the Seattle Central Culinary Program. And let's save the Seattle Central
Culinary Academy.
Community College. That's what I'm on.
Culinary Academy.
Let's save the Seattle Central Community College's culinary program for all to take advantage of.
It's a wrap.
Oh boy, thank you for putting up with us.
Awesome.
Where do you live now?